I've got your energy stories for the first week of June 2023. Well, as of June 2nd, passengers can book inaugural electric flights on Sweden's SAS Airlines, planned trips on 30-seater planes sometime in 2028. On its website, SAS poses the question, how can SAS guarantee these flights will operate 5 years ahead of time? Well, they don't exactly answer the question, but they do state, quote, "We do this to manifest our strong belief in the development of electric aviation as a viable option for low and zero emission aviation." And they comment they will work with the industry to make this happen. The routes will be domestic, but neither they nor the specific aircraft to be deployed have yet been specified. Constellation Energy has notched a world record for operating an existing turbine on a hydrogen-methane blend with H2 levels hitting 38%. Constellation's day-long test on May 18th used a 13-year-old Siemens turbine at its Hillaby combined cycle plant in Alabama, with the company saying only minor modifications were required prior to the test. No data was released showing impacts on equipment, but the company did comment that nitrous oxide emissions did not increase. The greatest long-term challenge here may be the round-trip efficiencies associated with hydrogen in power plants, with losses estimated at well over 50% versus 5 to 15% for lithium-ion batteries, for example. Constellation is also in the news for its announced $1.75 billion purchase of Energy's 44% ownership stake in the 2.6 gigawatt South Texas nuclear electric generating station outside of Houston. Constellation will be one of 3 owners. 8 Rivers, the developer of the alum cycle, a process first used in a 50 megawatt zero emissions power plant in Texas, indicates that this process can also be used to separate hydrogen from methane and capture 99% of the CO2 emissions while doing so. Most other blue hydrogen carbon capture tech falls within the 90 to 96% capture rate. And 8 Rivers is now working on a pilot, having raised $100 million from Korea's SK Group in March. The U.S. Department of Energy announced $46 million in funding to 8 fusion companies advancing designs and R&D in the space. The goal is to have a pilot-scale demonstration of fusion within a decade and solidify U.S. leadership in the commercialization of fusion energy. The New York Green Bank has surpassed $2 billion in financial commitments, which are expected to mobilize up to another $5.5 billion in public and private investments. The bank reached self-sufficiency in July 2017 with revenues exceeding operating expenses, and as of May, the bank has completed 123 transactions addressing financing gaps that would have otherwise hindered investments from other parties. The California Energy Commission approved a new load-shifting goal to free up 7,000 megawatts of electricity through the smarter use of existing clean energy resources, up twice from current levels. Required by Senate Bill 846, the approach will involve offering multiple incentives to customers to shift electricity use to periods of the day when electricity is cheapest and cleanest. If Governor Gavin Newsom has his way, these programs will be complemented by huge purchases of renewable energy made directly by the state of California rather than through its utilities, utilizing the state's purchasing power to support large projects that utilities might not be able to commit to because of size and price tag. Newsom specifically addressed the need to do this because of a brewing reliability issue with an expected 40,000 megawatts of new generating capacity needed to meet demand over the coming decade. A state-led approach has not yet been tried in this country. The city of Cohoes, New York, has applied to the State Department of Environmental Conservation for permission to build a $5.9 million 3.2 megawatt floating solar panel array, one of the first in this country, though they're quite common in Asia. With about 24,000 municipal reservoirs nationwide that could host floating arrays, the potential is significant, with an estimated 10% of the nation's electricity needs potentially met through floating arrays. And finally, Chinese lithium producer Ganfeng announced that its first-generation solid-state battery is now entering mass production, with the pilot production line having annual capacity of 4 gigawatt-hours. Ganfeng's solid-state battery uses less cobalt and nickel and has a carbon footprint about 24% smaller than conventional lithium-ion batteries. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.